Hi, this is Paimon version 2, episode number 6. Today I'm going to be covering building the legs and also the issues I'm having with the head. Unlike the rest of the body, the legs are not going to be animatronic. But rather than just copying Paimon version 1's legs, I decided to enhance the legs. The first thing I wanted to do was smooth all the models. This would save me from a lot of sanding. I then wanted to add a new joint on the heel and the knee, and then redo the joint on the hip to fit with the new model. Then split the parts by color and add holes to hold up the proper socks I'm going to have. After spending a lot of time in Blender, I came up with this. And here I've split apart the model so you can see it a bit better. And here's the joint on top of the leg. While I was designing in Blender, I was also 3D printing everything. And this is one of the parts for the joint on top of the leg. This part is one of the smaller parts, and the video is playing at 100 times speed. So you can imagine how longer the other parts would take. Next, here is a fast mo of me assembling the legs. I start off by cutting off the unwanted pieces, and then sand most of the stuff off, and then re-drill some of the holes. Then clean up, and then I carry on sanding. There's a few new parts that I printed here. And then I've got the wood that I'm using to join the legs together, which I'm just cutting to the right size. And then assembling some of the stuff, cleaning up, and then trying to assemble one of the legs. There's a lot of sanding in this part. And you can see one of the legs coming into shape. And then I'm measuring one of the aluminium poles and that I'm using for the joints. And there I've connected most of the leg together. More and more sanding and more drilling. Okay, right now I'm doing the top hip connection. This took quite a bit of sanding to get right. And then there's a smaller aluminium pole that I'm using. So I'm building one of the top connections here. And it's done. And I've got the second leg there too. And then I join it all up together, and there it's finished. Here I've got the legs on the table, and I'm holding them up with a 2 G-clamps and a piece of wood, just so they can stand by themselves. I'll be painting the legs much later on when I've got the rest of Paimon finished. So for now I'm not gluing everything together. Here I got Paimon version 1 and the legs together so you can compare them. I'm going to be using real socks on Paimon version 2 rather than the plastic with paint on them. And this is the reason for all the holes in the new legs. One of the issues I'm having is the armor gets in the way when you move the legs. So far I got 2 solutions for this, is to make some sort of hinge in the armor with a spring steel wire or something like that, and then when the leg moves the armor will move, or to redo the armor out of some flexible material like silicone or something like that. So as I mentioned earlier in the video, one of the issues I'm having is that the screens don't fit into the head correctly. So the major problem I've got with the screen is this board on the back. I would love if the screen could be either separate from the board, or the back of the board was the same size as the screen. So with these screens, it's not too much of an issue if it was just the 2 eyes, because it fits in there. But the problem comes when you got the second screen and it just gets in the way. It doesn't matter where you put it. So it's constantly in the way of the screen. So that forms gaps on the eyes and stuff like that. I've also tried the screen the other way around, like that. this sort of works, but the problem is I need the face to tilt. I had to cut the chin away here just to get it to fit in properly, but the face to tilt forward, and then this border is in the way as well. I am trying to look at other screens. I've found smaller versions of those which might help, and then these I can't find anything to replace this one so far. But there are screens that you can buy just by themselves, but the problem is these connections. If you see over here, those connections there, I mean, I don't have the skills to solder something like that on. Anyway, thanks for watching and goodbye.